They made a mod about the war in Ukraine. Across the Dnieper is a mod that attempts to simulate the ongoing war in Ukraine, but in Hoi 4, and let me be honest, it's fun as shit. The mod is made in a way that lets you have a challenge playing either side of the conflict. Now, while Russia and Ukraine are pretty well balanced, Russia is obviously the stronger of the two nations, mainly because they start off the war with more units, they have a bigger industry, and oh yeah, they aren't the ones getting invaded. Now fellas, I think we can all agree that winning is fun. And as Russia, you can win the war pretty easily. However, I find Ukraine to be the fun nation to play in this mod because as Ukraine, you have the Herculean task of defeating the entire Russian army. And I'd be lying if I said that that's an easy thing to do. Alright guys, I gotta be honest, playing Ukraine is really fucking hard. While Zelensky made it look easy, fighting the Russian military is actually a nightmare. Russia has a shit ton of tanks and a shit ton of mechanized, which can and will easily roll over your infantry divisions. Not to mention that starting off, Ukraine has a Russian collaborator's terrain trait that gives Russia a lot of buffs when pushing. On top of all that, Russia also has the magical ability of regenerating equipment through their military industry, a luxury that Ukraine lacks as most every province that Russia takes has a part of the Ukrainian industry that will be incredibly hard to take back. While it may sound like Ukraine is not very fun to play, I find that playing Ukraine in this mod is some of the most fun I have ever had in Hoi 4. As Ukraine, you're playing to buy time so you can do your focuses, so you can get rid of your debuffs, so you can get Western equipment, so you can get buffs, so you can beat Russia. Playing Ukraine is very micro heavy. It forces you to be looking all over the front line and it is very fun. However, I highly recommend playing Ukraine with your friends, if you have any, because playing this mod in single player will most likely give you stress-induced psychosis and RSI. Now those of you that have played across the Dnieper before have probably noticed that throughout this video I have completely ignored the 2014 start date, and that is because I do not like the 2014 start date. While the 2022 start date gives you a fun war, the 2014 start date gives you suicidal tendencies. This is because the 2014 start date is made to lead up to the 2022 start date, which means that you've got to play a mod that runs really slow for 8 in-game years, which translates to roughly 27 real-life hours. Sure, the fact that you get the war in the Donbass and the Euromaidan crisis in the 2014 start date is cool and all, but in my opinion, the 2014 start date is just fucking worthless when the 2022 start date exists. In conclusion, Across the Dnieper is a really fun mod, if you play the 2022 start date. I've gotta be honest, while I was playing the mod before I wrote this review, I only played the 2014 start date once and got bored of it 15 minutes in. Meanwhile, I have played the 2022 start date for countless hours and have had a shit ton of fun. And I've gotta say, while the fact that the mod runs slow makes the 2014 start date boring as shit, it somehow makes the 2022 start date more immersive and fun. And while I am yet to win as Ukraine, I have never felt that the game is poorly balanced. Every time my units get encircled, it doesn't feel like the AI pulled off some fucking bullshit. It feels like I made a mistake, and it makes me think about what I could have done to avoid it and what I can do differently in my next run. Overall, I've got to give the 2022 start date an 8 out of 10 and the 2014 start date a 3 out of 10. The 2022 start date is a really fun challenge that I highly recommend you play, while the 2014 start date is just really fucking slow and boring. Alright, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and if you want to support this channel, you can join my Patreon like these people up on screen right now. The link is in the description. Okay, remember to always drink and drive, and I'll see you all on the next one. Holy fuck, this video is way shorter than I expected. Roll the haruher.
Oh, what a shame that you came here with someone. So what if you're my own?